I think probably a lot towards the end. I found a number of things that were happening was not to my liking, you know.
At the end, as in the end of the campaigning period?
Towards the end of the campaign period, and then even on election day, the inordinate length of time that people had to spend before they cast their votes, for example, disappointed me, because a lot of people, a lot of spotters were turned away, or rather decided to go back. And they were frustrated. They had to wait for 3 or 4 hours before they could vote. And these were the things that, to me, it should never have happened. I mean, if you do a time and motion study, you would probably can ascertain the number of channels or lines that will be required to be established. If the last election, for example, you had 4 channels or 4 salurans, with the increased number of population or voters, you probably need 6, you know. But I would expect, you know, these sort of things to be something that will be taken into account, you see. And there were reports that saluran 1 and 2, those are above 50, in some of the urban areas, they were placed on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And people, elderly people had to, you know, had to be helped up, and it was rather onerous thing to do. So these were the things that I felt uneasy, you know. But certainly, I have to confess, I didn't expect such a catastrophic loss. You know, I expect our margin to go down, but didn't expect it to go down to that extent. Yeah. I think you have to ask the EC, because I don't interfere in the EC. You see, the administration of EC is left to the EC. You know, they decide on certain things. And certain things that happen, like, for example, there was an incident of cutting out Dr. Mahathir's picture in the center of a big billboard. That was not my instruction, you know. So these are the things that happen which backfired against us. They were unintended consequences, I would say. But you know, the system is that everything is blamed on the government. Everything is blamed on the Prime Minister, even though you may not be directly responsible. But, you know, that's the way things are, you know. Well, it's a long story. We'll be here until the evening, I think, if I talk about what went wrong. It's actually, you know, when you lose an election or you win an election, it's just not one single factor. Usually it's a multitude of factors. In this case, it was a systemic collapse, if you like, of so many things. Internal sabotage, weaknesses in terms of their role. Some of the attitude of our people have not changed. But essentially, you know, if you take a big picture, we fought a positive campaign, you know. We thought that we had a great story to tell, where we're taking the country towards. We had a vision for Malaysia. We had a real plan for Malaysia. We have delivered, and we know that we could deliver even more. And we thought that was good enough, a good story to tell the people. And we had the results to prove. The macro figures are looking good. Economy was strong. Growth, development was taking place. Unemployment was low. Even inequality of income was getting better. Gini coefficient went down below 0.4% for the first time. The stock market was strong. For example, when I took over as Prime Minister, it was 850. KLSC was 850. When I left, just before the election, was 1860 or something. I can't remember exactly. The ringgit was getting stronger. Commodity prices were better. All the corporate bodies' assets, cash level were, you know, increasing very significantly. And we were taking care of the welfare of the people, you know. Every single sector was, even the middle class, we gave 2% reduction in income tax. And if you earn 4,000 and below, I think you don't pay any tax. I was giving a lot more exemptions to every strata of the society. The scale of the loss was beyond our comprehension to begin with. So I think we were just a state of shock, and we were traumatized. Everybody was traumatized. But we gathered our thoughts, and we decided that we have to accept the will of the people and then just move on, for the sake of the country. What is important is for Malaysia. Malaysia has, to continue. There has to be a going concern, and we have to make sure that the welfare and interests of people will not be affected in any way. Instability or even internal strife would certainly be the last thing that I wanted for the country. I don't think it will be end or be end, but it will be a hard road forward. It is certainly not for the faint-hearted people. For you to succeed against such difficult odds, you have to have the courage to succeed. You've got to have the self-belief. You have to be very patient. You have to see yourself as being able to convince the people to regain their confidence and their trust. Don't forget, Reformasi took 20 years. 20 years to where they are today. At one time, in 2008, they were almost wiped out. When Pak Allah came back. 2004. They were almost annihilated, but they persevered. They came back, And some of them can tell you some of the horrific stories during the early days of Reformasi. Even some of the leaders, they spent quite some time, as guests of the government, so to speak. But things are different now.